Okay, so this is the ModOffice, just to kind of show you a preview of what's going to be part of this, right? So, like for example, you can technically transfer assets in here. Like say if I wanted to sell a barbecue pit to someone else, like theoretically I could do that. And you can go through a form and then send it to another toolbox type. And theoretically, like this could all work, which is kind of crazy how it all can tokenize the digital frames. But anyways, that's for another time. Uh, you're gonna have a universal office to where you can do anything you want, but it's gonna have a framework in there that's gonna be. You'll learn a lot about this and how it all works because it's gonna be like your centrifuge for everything. All right, well, you're gonna have like an account settings, typical stuff, but this is some of the things that we're gonna be. I was trying to explain to everybody yesterday. So the primary message is basically like the internal toolbox email system. It's the best way I can describe it. It's not using real emails because the toolbox types have IDs to them, and we can incorporate usernames that are similar to our own toolbox emails without having to go get like a domain, right? Because we can generate a custom ID system that we already have, and we can leverage that to then send email type systems. And then chat is like basically like a text message system that we've embedded inside there. And then the systems message is basically like internal updates or something that's happening from the admin's perspective, showing updates of like, hey, like, or feedback. So for example, like I said, it's going to look like an email lookout. Trying to think what else. You know, if you're going to send something, again, it's going to be through not an email system, but it'll be through a toolbox mail. Let's see what else. Yeah, so that's that, and then you have chat, to where this is all your. You can basically do everything you want, even if you wanted to like make a phone call. We'll be able to set that up in the future, and video. Similar to what Slack does. And I'm trying to think what else, if you want to talk to someone new. So in the system, what we'll do in the beginning, you'll have, so if you want to create a new conversation, you would look at the roster of all the people that are in the system, right? So I'm going to move this. You'll have all that. So say there's 100 people or whatever, you'd be able to cycle through it because you already kind of have a conversation. Well, you already have an understanding of who's in there, especially in your repository. It's going to show up like these are all the people in your repo, and or initiative or a team or whatever. And I'll even make it easier with like the department types to make it just like kind of like basically simple for you to know. So when you want to like find someone, you know, you need to know their username, and then from that you can click start that conversation. Now you're having a conversation with, hey Sarah, you know what I'm saying? What up? And from that, you'll be able to have that conversation. And she's online. You can give her a call. And then, you know, same thing. Or you want to turn off the video, just have audio, all the things. Or you can just press here in the info button, and you can kind of like figure out who she is, what she does skill-wise, and then start relaying that conversation. So again, and you can even see activity or whatever. Another one is systems. So system messages is basically where you're going to, this is like an example of how systems would be reporting in real time. So like say for an example, if you're in the individual app and you wanted to do a report a pothole via app to the city. Well, this would be kind of like, you know, this is I actually framed this on how SAM.gov works in the United States, which is like how a government contracting site works on like how they handle like tickets. And I thought it was like a really interesting way, so like I copied it. So I was like, I like this. So anyways, you know, it would have this thing right here. Details report of a pothole located on Main Street, Elm Street, right? The pothole is approximately 18 inches wide, blah, 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 blah. So that was your dispute, or like you wanted to bring the city to that attention. And then this right here would be an indicator of the bottle repair completed. Right, repair material loaded. On-site inspection complete, etc. The field inspector dispatched to the address. Report received by the city operations city to assign to the field inspector. Actually, I gotta readjust some of the order here. Oh, it's going from the bottom up. That's why. I was like, man, why am I reading this backwards? I should have started at the bottom. But so that's what it would be. It would start here because the individual sent in the ticket through their Citizens ID app, and then, which is basically that, and then the city received it. And I think it's a really cool way to like kind of show visually how it works, right? And then you can add to it, and then that would, make an addition to that system. Because the whole point of this is to provide a framework on how you can keep track of some of the larger system stuff. And you'll see a status report, like if it was assigned, it's under review, it's rejected, because it's almost a feedback mechanism as well. It's not just like a one-way, it's also a two-way channel system. So sometimes there's like an update, like, hey, like we're letting you know we got a systems update going on in your ModOffice. Or another thing, it might be like, hey, there's a bug in here. It would go through this, because this would then get transmitted to another destination where an admin that's overseeing any type of bug features or whatever the case may be would have a conversation. And or someone maybe in another part of the ecosystem, right? Maybe you're working in somewhere in the ecosystem, there's a bug that other part of that ecosystem is responsible for. So that's what that internal system message is designed to kind of find who the so-called responsible one would be. And that's pretty much that, right, for now. In the future, I'll be going through like some of the build tools of what these mean, because this is going to be like the most foundational pieces of equipment tools that you will be leveraging the entire time. And how that all works is going to be like foundational for your collaboration, because everything we do, no matter if it's if it's code or design or whatever, because most of it's code, it's all going to be going through these work terminals and product terminals and function terminals, etc., which are all just part of the whole thing. So like knowing what these mean in the future are going to be like vital, which I'm going to be totally here to show you the way. But when you start seeing how these tools work, you're going to be mind blown, and you're going to want to incorporate it in your own workflow in reality, because it's like superior method of project management. But it would require you to learn it first before you can master it. So anyways, that's an update on that, and I'm going to be making more updates as I go, but this is where I'm trying to get the foundational pieces set for these offices app, because you would sign in, and then from here you would be able to have your own unique ModOffice, and everybody would have their own. So it's a way to communicate with others in the ecosystem, not just through like a random repo where you're going to submit code or whatever, but like an actual interface that's designed just for everybody there, and it's uniquely grouping everybody together based in their initiatives and teams. So anyways, that's the update. Look forward to giving you more soon. Stay tuned. Pew!